what those who believe was political will say was, look, anytime you have, Glen Beck and Sarah Palin saying we need to restore honor, it implies that honor has been lost, and the implication is it's been lost by this administration or by events in recent years. Do you see that, or do you think that's just nitpicking?
I didn't get that from the speeches that were made. When they were speaking about restoring honor, everyone was indicted. Every single American citizen was indicted, because I think at some point we've all, conservatives, liberals, this wasn't about identity politics. This was about we all as American people have grown apathetic, and we all contributed to the state of the economy. We've all contributed to the problems that we are in because we were silent. We've all allowed it to happen at some point. And that really was the theme. And I like Glen Beck. I think, as a radio broadcaster, I respect his talent in broadcasting, both television and radio. I was really impressed that he was able to separate that and that he kept it out of this event. It was, I think it took some skill to do that.
You just don't buy the separation, though, Matt.
Well, clearly he toned down his usual rhetoric, but again, you have to take this weekend's events in the context of everything that he's been saying for the past year. Glen Beck, for the last year, has not been pointing a finger at all Americans for the troubles that we're in. He's been very pointedly pointing the finger at the Obama administration with very racially divisive commentary.
It was interesting that he backtracked his statement, right after he gave an interview to Chris Wallace, and he said, he basically said that he had a big mouth and he shouldn't have said the racist comment that he had said about President Obama.
Right, well, he did, but he backtracked it, and clearly he was very cognizant of the criticism as he performed this rally, because it was nowhere near the temperature that he usually performs at. He didn't have the usual statements like Barack Obama's a racist and has a deep-seated hatred of white people. He didn't say the things like, pretty soon they're going to turn the fire hoses on us and let loose the German shepherds. None of that rhetoric was there, and I almost thought some of the people in the crowd were disappointed that it wasn't. But again, in the context of that, it had incredible meaning for this rally.
Where does it go from here, Dana, in terms of, I heard Glen Beck and Sarah Palin saying, it starts today. Where does that energy, that enthusiasm move?
Well, I hope that it would. And honestly, I think from this event, I hope that we see more events like this in the future with such a focus on unity and such a focus on where our rights originate. I think this energy, I think that it was about channeling people to take some action, to make some progress going into midterms and perhaps even carrying it all the way to 2012. And I think it was really asking Americans, hey, you have a responsibility as a citizen of this country to act honorably, politically, and in other arenas. So remember that when you're out there discussing liberty evangelism or what have you. That's what I took away from it.
Should Democrats be scared?
No, I mean, I think in the short term, definitely there are clearly going to be some losses for the Democrats because of all this political energy. But in the long term, this Tea Party movement is going to kill the Republican Party because it's going to make it impossible to win that center ground. You're not going to be able to win nominations without appealing to this group of people. But if you do appeal to this group of people, you're going to lose every non-white voter in the country and a large percentage of the sort of independent, middle-of-the-road voters. It's a very, very dicey situation for the Republicans.
Dana, I'll give you the final thought.
Yeah, I would disagree with Matt strongly on that, because almost every single poll that has come out since spring of last year shows, Rasmussen, Gallup, Quinnipiac, by and large, independents and moderates are flocking from the Democrat Party. Not just those, but also voters in the black community as well. We have more than ever in any other election period. We've had more black conservatives running on Republican tickets and primaries, and they are doing exceedingly well. Charles Lawler, Alan West. We also have Cedric Crenshaw in Illinois. I think what we're seeing is a really true awakening with this grassroots movement, that people are realizing for the first time that individual liberty is applicable to everyone. It is not patented by one side or the other, and that's my hope for this movement, and that's what I've been seeing.
I said it was final thought, but I'll let you respond if you want.
I mean, you're naming individual black politicians as though it's representative of widespread black attitudes. It's just not the case. I just don't see large numbers.
Matt, perhaps if people like you in the liberal media quit trying to diminish the contributions of black conservatives in the political sphere, more would have the courage to speak out.
I just don't even, I mean, this is like one of those things when you see your crazy uncle taking his pants off at Thanksgiving. You don't know whether to laugh or cry. It's so incredibly offensive, this whole business.
So you name call.
Well, I don't know how to respond to that. This whole thing, you don't know whether they're being disingenuous or clueless and not seeing how incredibly offensive this entire event is. And it's really sad, and I think
How is it offensive? You found prayer offensive? You found Dr. Alveda King speaking offensive?
No, I find 100,000 white people gathering on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
Were you at the event so you can validate that every single person there was white?
No,
Matt,
I'm sure there were a few scattered minorities
but then where do you
at this
base
event.
that? Where do you get that assumption from then?
Because
Don't
I've
you
been
feel it's a
to
little bit
numerous Tea
disingenuous?
Party rallies. I've been
Because you've been to
covering this
other events,
phenomenon
right?
for a year.
Were you at this event and you can validate for sure that
I watched it
every
on
single
television.
person
I
in
certainly
attendance?
saw that crowd.
Because that's exactly like being there, watching it on television. Excellent.
All right. I appreciate both of you guys coming on. Matt Taibbi, thanks very much. Dana Loesch. Oh, Dana, I should just point